The day water became a weapon. The sky over the outer colonies was dark with storm clouds that no one could explain, and the wind carried a strange taste that made the alien inhabitants cough and shield their eyes from the sky and across the galaxy. Word spread fast about a new weapon that had changed the rules of war forever. A weapon that turned the most ordinary thing in the universe, water, into a force of destruction. The hydro weapons were not bombs that exploded or missiles that tore through cities. These were clouds of charged water that carried a microscopic catalyst that attacked the biochemistry of every species except humans. And for months, the panic had been growing like wildfire on distant planets as entire cities had been evacuated or wiped out, and leaders huddled in fear behind reinforced walls, and the Council of Terran scientists who had created the weapon had watched from their space stations and believed no one could survive the blue storms they had poured their knowledge of fluid dynamics, chemistry, and alien physiology into the creation of the weapon, to make sure it was perfect, to make sure the universe bowed to their warning. But on Earth, in a small research base hidden under layers of soil and mountains, the humans were watching the first footage of a hydro strike on the colony of Zereth. And while the aliens panicked and screamed at the screens, the humans gathered calmly around the lab benches and discussed possibilities with voices that carried no panic, no despair, only curiosity. And the lead medic, Dr. Kieran Reeve, took the sample of captured hydro water and held it under a glass dome, his fingers steady and precise, and the rest of the scientists watched in tense silence as he explained his theory that the human body was unique, that human biology had properties no other species possessed that might allow them to survive what others could not. He filled a small vial with the toxic water and slowly raised it to his lips. The camera crews filming the experiment from a safe distance zoomed in on his face, showing every emotion as the liquid touched his tongue, and he swallowed it, and nothing happened at first. And then he smiled, and the room erupted into cautious excitement. Because it was real, humans could drink it and survive, and not only survive, but the human immune system could actually begin to neutralize the catalyst over time. And as the news spread across the networks, alien scientists could not believe their eyes. The humans were taking risks no one else would and surviving. While planets around the galaxy fell under hydro floods, the footage showed the medic wading through the shallow pools of charged water and dipping his hands into the waves and carrying injured civilians back to safety. The humans moved with a strange confidence that made the aliens shiver, and the news anchors struggled to describe what was happening, because every report contradicted the horror they had seen on other worlds. Because humans were not panicking. They were testing and experimenting and learning and teaching, and the storm clouds above the colonies seemed to lose their terror. When a human set foot in them, they wrote down observations, carefully noted reactions, measured every effect, and documented it with cameras and sensors and satellites. And the world watched as humans in simple suits, without armor, without force fields, waded into the very stuff that could kill others and carried the weak out and purified what they could. And slowly the idea began to spread that perhaps humans were immune. Not by accident, but by design, because their stomach acids, their unique enzymes, their blood chemistry could break down the hydro catalyst before it could attach to cells, and the medics and scientists held emergency meetings and devised protocols to teach civilians and soldiers how to survive the floods by taking measured sips, testing small amounts in controlled doses, documenting results, and using absorbent gels to prevent overexposure. And across Earth, cities, teams trained in handling hydro water appeared, carrying containers, measuring equipment, and small shelters that could neutralize the cloud on contact. And for the first time in months, people slept without fear, because humans had taken the first brave steps into the storms. And the aliens who had deployed the weapons began to panic among themselves, and debates raged in their halls of power, and fear spread faster than the clouds, because their weapons were useless against humans. And the humans themselves did not gloat. They did not boast. They simply moved with precision, intelligence, and courage. And the medic became a symbol, not because he wanted to be, but because he had shown that the impossible was possible, that what others feared humans could endure and heal, and that hope could exist even in a sky filled with deadly water. And as the sun rose over the mountains surrounding the research base, the clouds above Earth seemed ordinary and calm compared to what other worlds feared. And the footage of humans walking through the flooded streets of Zereth, helping the stranded and testing the water carefully and with patience, became legendary. not just as proof of survival, but as a lesson in bravery and in science and in the simple human determination to face fear and turn it into knowledge. And across the network, every alien species that had once feared the hydro weapons now watched with disbelief, because humans had not just survived the first drink, they had shown how to master the storms, to protect life and to heal and to learn. And the medic smiled again at his team and said, "The work is only beginning." And they knew that. Tomorrow the hydro clouds would strike again somewhere in the galaxy. But now there was hope, because humans had discovered the secret. No other species had guessed the power of their own biology, the courage to test and the ability to endure the waters that others feared. And far away the Terran Council began to consider the unthinkable. Humans are not just survivors. Humans are something else entirely. And across Earth and space, the first message of resistance and defiance and understanding was clear that humans could face the deadliest storm and drink the very thing that had been designed to kill them, and live and fight and protect others. And the stars themselves seemed to watch in silence as the human medic raised his glass of charged water and drank once more, because the first step had been taken and nothing would ever be the same again. Why humans can drink the fear. The news of Dr. Kieran Reeve drinking the hydro water spread across the galaxy, and the footage of humans wading through the poisonous floods inspired hope and confusion at the same time. Because everywhere the blue storms hit, the other species saw devastation and death, but Earth stood calm and organized, and humans were testing and surviving and protecting everyone. And in the laboratories and bunkers on Earth, scientists worked day and night measuring the effects of the hydro catalyst on humans. And it became clear that human biology was extraordinary in ways no one had ever understood before. The acids in their stomachs were strong enough to break down the catalyst molecules. Their enzymes dismantled the toxic chains before they could attach to cells, and their blood contained salts and proteins that neutralized any remaining particles. And for the first time, a weapon meant to terrorize the galaxy was useless against a species that could turn it into harmless water. The scientists wrote papers and made diagrams and simulations that no alien scholar had ever predicted, and across battlefields humans began using this knowledge as armor, as weapon, and as shield, because soldiers and medics could drink the hydro water safely and then use their bodies to carry trapped civilians through contaminated areas. And while the humans moved with calm precision, aliens could not believe their eyes, and the footage showed teams forming human chains through flooded streets, moving swiftly with buckets and containers and hoses, filtering and neutralizing water as they went. And even children carried small amounts of water through temporary channels to keep families safe. And the blue clouds seemed to hesitate when humans approached, as if afraid of the courage and the discipline that moved through their ranks. And Dr. Kieran Reeve became more than a medic. He became a symbol, and the network of communications from Earth to the stars showed humans wading through pools of glowing water, carrying strangers and analyzing the spread of the catalyst in real time. And they wrote notes and sent signals to orbiting satellites, and the aliens were forced to watch as their weapon became a test for human resilience rather than a tool of conquest. And the human teams taught their own citizens how to survive the floods with strict methods, controlled doses, and absorbent gels. And while other species panicked, humans drank carefully measured sips and documented reactions and trained each other in the art of endurance and the ability to protect others without fear. And the networks were full of news and images and stories of humans walking into danger while other worlds evacuated, and humans were quiet about it. They did not boast or threaten. They simply moved with courage and precision, and the aliens could not understand this instinct to face danger, to learn from it, and to save lives in the process. And in one flooded city, a human medic waded through streets and reached a family trapped on the roof of a collapsed building, and the water around them shimmered with toxic energy. But the medic drank a measured sip of hydro water and signaled the family to follow, and they held hands and moved carefully across debris while small units of humans neutralized the surrounding waters with chemical gels and filtering devices. And the aliens recorded every second, and their analysts argued about what they were seeing. Because humans were not just surviving. They were mastering the storms. They were turning a weapon into a challenge. And across the colonies, scientists on the Terran homeworld debated among themselves, because the hydro weapons that had been designed to terrify the galaxy had failed in the hands of humans, and in secret, Laboratories, other species attempted to replicate human stomach enzymes and blood proteins, but nothing worked. Nothing neutralized the catalyst the way humans could, and the humans did not stop. They mapped the catalyst reactions and calculated optimal doses and trained rescue teams to wade into flooded zones to test and clear areas. And every sip taken by humans became a calculated victory over fear and across space. The news of human bravery spread and inspired hope and doubt, because everyone knew that Earth was a small planet and their defenses were minimal, yet humans dared to face floods that had destroyed entire colonies, and the aliens saw their strategy fail because humans could drink what others feared and use it as protection to help others, and the medic became a symbol of this courage not by desire, but by necessity, because each time he led a team into toxic water, another life was saved, and across Earth, cities' volunteers lined up to receive controlled doses, to protect their neighborhoods, and the blue storms that once brought panic now became a stage to show human resilience, and the aliens began to notice that humans were not reckless. They were disciplined, strategic, fearless. And every small group of humans had a system of measurements, tests, and procedures, and the medics and scientists documented everything for other humans to learn. And the citizens of Earth took notes of water contamination levels, safe consumption limits and absorption techniques, and even small children learned to recognize the shimmering of the hydrocatalyst in puddles. And the first sip became a ritual for courage, for hope, and for learning. And every sip that humans drank into their mouths became a step into knowledge and preparation for the next attack, and the alien leaders realized that their weapon was no longer a threat, but a test of human intelligence and bravery. And across the galaxy, the fear of hydroweapons began to fade because every report showed humans drinking and surviving and saving others in small settlements in flooded regions, followed the example, and the humans built filtration shelters, pumping stations, and absorbent networks to control hydro water, and the aliens were forced to retreat to safety and reconsider their strategy. Because humans were not just surviving their attacks, they were mastering the environment, the storms, and even the deadly catalyst itself. And Dr. Kieran Reeve trained more medics, more volunteers, more soldiers to drink and test and protect, and every human who learned this became part of a network of courage. And across the colonies, the footage of humans calmly walking into floods, carrying strangers, and neutralizing water spread across screens, and the aliens could only watch in disbelief, and the humans themselves did not celebrate. They simply moved to the next zone, the next test, the next rescue, because they understood that the hydro weapons were dangerous, but knowledge was stronger, and the ability to endure and protect was stronger. And the first sip had taught them that fear was temporary, but human courage was permanent. And across the galaxy, whispers began that perhaps humans were not just survivors, but guardians of life who could face even the deadliest storm and turn it into hope. The hydro flood strikes back. The aliens watched from orbiting platforms in deep underground bunkers as humans continued to master the hydro water. And they realized that simple strikes would not be enough to stop a species that could drink their deadliest weapon and survive. They began to modify the hydrocatalyst, adding volatile compounds that reacted differently to different species, but still humans drank and adapted, and across the planet emergency alerts sounded, and the sky darkened with shimmering clouds of charged water, and the first wave struck coastal cities, flooding streets and subways, and the humans moved calmly through it, their suits resistant to the chemical energy, their boots gripping slippery surfaces, their lungs filtering the air, and their eyes focused on every shimmer of danger, and the scientists monitored each sip, each reaction, each heartbeat, and across flooded zones. Small teams of medics led civilians across streets where the water glowed bright blue, and dangerous spikes jutted from collapsed buildings, and yet humans walked through it, holding children on their shoulders, carrying the elderly, guiding the frightened, and the aliens could not understand how a single species could move through destruction with patience, precision, and bravery. And across space, analysts debated the possibilities of human resilience, noting the enzymes, the acids, the proteins, the unexplainable combination that made humans immune. And in one city, a human team encountered a hydro tornado, twisting through a collapsed bridge, and the water was thicker, more charged, more aggressive, and the humans measured small doses from their containers, drank carefully noted reactions, and then waded through holding hands and guiding others to safety. And the aliens watched in disbelief as humans adapted to each wave. Learning and recording for the next and across Earth, the medics trained civilians to drink measured sips before entering dangerous zones, teaching them to read the shimmer, the movement, the smell of the hydrocatalyst so they could avoid the deadliest pockets. And every sip was followed by observation and documentation. And across the world, families worked together to test water channels and filtration systems, and children learned to distinguish between safe and dangerous pockets of hydro water, and the storms intensified, and the aliens tried new tactics, sending clouds that moved unpredictably and carried explosive currents, but the humans responded with calm intelligence, building floating walkways, pumps, and absorbent nets to redirect the water and across the rivers that had turned into deadly floods. Humans formed long chains pulling those trapped in the middle of the currents, and the aliens saw something that no weapon could predict. Humans were not just surviving the hydrofloods. They were mastering them, controlling the flow, neutralizing the charges, saving lives, and across the continents the news of human bravery spread and inspired other species who had once feared the hydro weapons to consider new alliances to understand human biology, to try to replicate their techniques. And in the flooded streets, the humans built temporary shelters that filtered the water and purified it, and volunteers ran across streets delivering small doses to those who had no protection, and the aliens launched hydro drones designed to sweep entire cities, but humans had already developed countermeasures using absorbent shields and chemical stabilizers, and the drones were neutralized, and everywhere humans moved like calm storms themselves. Fearless, strategic, precise, and across space the footage was shared, and the legends of human courage grew as if the very act of drinking the deadly water and surviving had transformed them into something extraordinary, something beyond fear. And in one abandoned colony, a small team of humans discovered a hydro reservoir under pressure, and the water was glowing violently. The aliens had amplified the catalyst to levels meant to annihilate anything in its path. But the humans approached carefully measured doses, tested reactions, documented every detail, and then carried out a rescue of trapped colonists while neutralizing the reservoir using a combination of filtration and absorbent gels. And across the galaxy, scientists of every species watched in astonishment as humans repeated the process again and again, each time learning more and adapting faster. And the aliens tried to create new forms of hydro water infused with alien enzymes to bypass human resistance. But the humans adapted even to these changes, drinking carefully, measuring doses, observing reactions, and neutralizing the new catalysts with the same calm precision. And the storms grew larger, more aggressive, more unpredictable. But humans never panicked. They coordinated their movements across flooded zones, sharing data, across networks, teaching civilians and soldiers alike to survive and protect, and across Earth cities, teams of medics acted as living shields, walking through the most dangerous waters to reach those who could not move on their own. And every sip they drank strengthened their knowledge, and every rescued life added to the experience of the species. And the aliens realized that the humans had turned a weapon of fear into a challenge, a training ground, and a lesson in courage. Because no matter how the hydroclouds moved, how fast they flowed, how aggressive they became, humans drank, learned, adapted, and saved. And across the galaxy, whispers spread that the humans were unstoppable because the combination of courage, biology, and intelligence had no equal. And in the flooded streets of one city, a young medic led a team into the deadliest zone carrying a container of hydro water, analyzing each reaction, teaching each civilian, and noting every detail. And the storm raged around them, but they moved like a calm river, unstoppable, and the aliens were forced to retreat because nothing they could throw at humans seemed to matter. Humans had become the masters of the hydrostorms, drinking the weapon, surviving the floods, and saving lives. And across the world, the medics trained more volunteers, teaching them to face the deadliest water without fear, and every sip of hydro water became a lesson in resilience, a symbol of courage, and a mark of human determination. And as the sky darkened again with charged clouds, the humans walked calmly into the floods, carrying strangers, building barriers, neutralizing currents, and saving lives, because the first sip had taught them that fear was temporary, knowledge was permanent, and courage was unstoppable. Humans strike back. The aliens thought they had seen everything, but humans were not content with surviving. They began to understand the hydro water not just as a threat but as a tool, a resource, a weapon of their own. Humans studied the properties of the catalyst, they mapped the chemical reactions, measured the energy flows, and built containment chambers where they could safely store and modify the water without danger. And across the laboratories on Earth, scientists mixed small quantities with neutralizing gels and filtering devices, and observed how humans could carry and even disperse controlled doses into dangerous areas without harm. And across the flooded cities, teams of medics and volunteers moved like organized waves, testing methods, carrying containers of hydro water to trap and neutralize pockets of dangerous currents, and the aliens watched, in disbelief as humans did not just defend themselves. They prepared to fight back, strategically, carefully measured strikes that could turn the deadly floods into controlled tools. Humans trained in advance, studied the patterns of the storms, anticipated where the next flood would strike, and deployed their volunteers with precision. And across the continents, humans built mobile hydro labs and pumping stations capable of redirecting toxic water into isolated channels, neutralizing the energy and even storing it for later analysis. And the aliens tried new attacks, adding more compounds, more charged ions, more unpredictable waves, but humans adapted quickly. They drank measured doses, monitored their bodies, recorded every reaction, shared data instantly with other teams across cities and continents, and each sip strengthened their ability to understand the water, to predict its movement, to protect lives. And at night, Earth glowed faintly with human activity. Drones flew over flooded zones. Mapping currents, humans walked carefully through streets carrying containers of hydro water, ready to release it into dangerous areas in a controlled way. And the aliens realized that humans were no longer passive survivors. They were turning a weapon meant to kill into a weapon, meant to save and across battlefields in the suburbs and the cities. Humans set up hydro nets and channels that could trap pockets of high-energy water. And then they poured carefully measured doses back into the channels, neutralizing the charge and preventing the spread. And the aliens sent elite strike teams to attack humans directly with concentrated clouds of hydro water. But humans had already built protective grids and absorbent suits that allowed them to walk directly through the clouds, analyzing every drop, neutralizing some with sips and absorbing the rest with gel layers. And across the communications networks, humans coordinated every movement, teaching civilians, soldiers, and volunteers how to use the hydro water as a shield, as a weapon, and as a means to protect others. And the aliens sent drones designed to mimic human movements to confuse the teams. But humans were clever. They anticipated patterns, predicted movements, measured doses, and neutralized the water with unparalleled precision. And in one flooded city, a young human engineer led a team into the central square, where hydro water had pooled into a deadly vortex. The water shimmered with lethal energy. The wind carried sharp droplets, cutting the skin. But the humans drank controlled sips, recorded every heartbeat, every reaction, and then deployed absorbent gels and redirected the currents away from trapped civilians, carrying them to safety while neutralizing the remaining water. And the aliens watched in disbelief. Because the humans were no longer simply surviving the hydro attacks, they were mastering the water, using it to save lives, and even turning pockets of it into temporary barriers to protect neighborhoods. And across the world, volunteers built hydro barriers along coastlines, redirected rivers into storage tanks, neutralized charges in urban zones, and taught children and elders how to measure the water, how to sip it safely, and how to survive and protect others. And the aliens were forced to admit that humans had achieved something no species had done before. They had turned a weapon of fear into a controlled resource, a method of protection, and an instrument of strategy. And across the galaxy, whispers spread that humans were unstoppable because they had learned the ultimate lesson from the hydro floods, the lesson of adaptation, courage, intelligence, and the power to turn danger into opportunity. And in one abandoned hydro plant, humans discovered a new method. They could store the water in insulated containers, modify its energy levels, and then release it in controlled bursts to clear dangerous streets or flood enemy encampments without risk to themselves. And the aliens tried. To counter these moves, they created unpredictable storms infused with alien compounds and concentrated streams of hydro water. But humans adapted faster than they could react, predicting currents, neutralizing charges, absorbing excess energy, and every sip taken by humans became a calculated action, strengthening their ability to act decisively and across Earth cities. Families coordinated with local teams, setting up safe zones, teaching neighbors how to survive and protect each other, and across the flooded zones, humans moved like silent waves carrying containers of hydro water, absorbing the deadliest currents and guiding the frightened to safety. And the aliens realized that the humans had transformed the war, the floods, the hydro, weapons into a test of intelligence and courage, and every human who participated became part of a network of protection, learning how to drink, survive, adapt, and fight back with knowledge and strategy. And in the central laboratory of Earth scientists, mixed hydro water with neutralizing agents and designed mobile filtration devices that could be deployed anywhere and across the world. Humans trained volunteers to use these devices to purify dangerous zones, carry safe water, and turn even the most aggressive floods into controlled flows, and the aliens launched their largest hydro attack, yet a concentrated storm designed to engulf entire cities at once. But humans met the storm with calm determination, drinking measured sips using absorbent suits, redirecting water into safe channels and neutralizing energy at the same time. And across the globe, the human strategy unfolded like a well-rehearsed operation. Each step calculated, each movement coordinated, each sip observed and recorded, and the aliens could not comprehend how a species so small and unarmed could control the deadliest weapon in the galaxy. And the humans themselves did not celebrate. They simply moved to the next task, the next rescue, the next zone, because every sip had taught them that courage was not reckless. Bravery was disciplined, and intelligence combined with adaptation was unstoppable. And across the flooded zones, humans walked calmly into the deadly hydrostorms, carrying civilians, neutralizing water, deploying barriers, teaching others, and proving to the galaxy that they had not just survived. They had mastered the weapon that had been designed to terrify all life. Humans, command the hydro-humans, no longer waited for the floods to come to them. They began to take the fight to the hydrostorms, understanding that the water itself could be used as a tool for strategy and defense. And across the continents, engineers built massive hydro channels and controlled reservoirs where the water could be stored safely and then released in carefully timed waves to neutralize enemy drones or create protective barriers around cities, and soldiers carried modular hydro containers that could amplify or dampen the energy of the water, allowing them to manipulate currents as if they were conducting an orchestra. And the aliens watched in disbelief as humans walked calmly into the most dangerous zones, sipping controlled doses, recording reactions, and then using the water to create temporary bridges to rescue trapped civilians or to redirect the deadliest streams away from crowded streets and across Earth. The cities became hubs of organized human resilience. Every building, every street, every channel carefully mapped for hydro flow. Every human trained in the principles of controlled absorption and dispersal. And in one coastal city, humans faced the most aggressive storm, yet a swirling vortex of hydro water charged with alien energy. The currents moved unpredictably, destroying buildings, uprooting trees, carrying debris like missiles. But the humans had developed synchronized teams, each member carrying containers of modified hydro water, drinking measured doses to maintain immunity, and then releasing small amounts to counter the alien charges, redirecting the currents with absorbent gels and neutralizing excess energy with chemical stabilizers. And as the storm raged, the humans moved like a living tide, guiding civilians, carrying children and the elderly through the dangerous zones, using the very weapon the aliens had designed to kill them as a shield and a tool. And across the laboratories, humans tested new combinations of hydro water, adding controlled amounts of energy to create harmless streams that could be deployed anywhere without risk. And across the streets, volunteers set up temporary channels, directing dangerous water away from homes, hospitals, and shelters, neutralizing charges and creating safe paths for everyone. And the aliens tried to respond with unpredictable hydrostorms, infused with alien enzymes, but humans adapted instantly, predicting patterns, analyzing chemical reactions, and deploying countermeasures before the attacks could fully form. And in one flooded urban center, a team of humans discovered an abandoned hydro processing plant. The water inside was volatile enough to destroy the city, but the humans approached carefully, testing reactions, drinking controlled sips, recording data, and then designing a network of containment units to harness the water safely for controlled use. And across Earth cities, humans trained more volunteers, teaching them how to manipulate currents, neutralize energy, and create protective zones for civilians. And the aliens began to realize that humans were not only immune, they were now commanders of the hydro water, turning a weapon of terror into a tactical advantage. And across the continents, mobile hydro units were deployed to zones where storms threatened schools, hospitals, and marketplaces, absorbing the water, neutralizing charges and redirecting currents in ways that no alien could predict. And in one flooded valley, humans used hydro water to create a temporary dam, redirecting a river that had become toxic back into safe reservoirs, and then used it to flush away debris, clearing streets and protecting villages. And the aliens sent drones with concentrated hydro streams designed to target specific teams. But humans analyzed the movement patterns of the drones and released small controlled bursts of neutralizing water, absorbing the energy, and then redirecting it back into the environment safely. And across the world, humans had turned the hydro water into a network of both offense and defense, using it to clear paths, protect civilians, and even as a training tool for new volunteers who learned to sip safely, observe reactions, and act decisively in dangerous zones. And the aliens launched their largest hydro storm, yet targeting entire continents at once. But humans met it with a coordinated effort, releasing stored water to counteract the energy, deploying absorbent barriers, and walking calmly into the streams, carrying those in need of rescue. And across the globe, cities glowed faintly with human activity, teams moving like synchronized tides, using hydro water to protect bridge crossings, evacuate hospitals, and redirect deadly currents away from crowded streets. And the aliens realized that humans had created an unprecedented level of control over a weapon that had been feared across the galaxy, because they had not just survived, they had studied, mastered, and now commanded it as if it were an extension of themselves. And in one research hub, a young scientist designed portable hydro amplifiers that could release controlled energy to sweep away debris or create temporary protective shields. And across the flooded zones, these amplifiers were deployed by teams carrying containers of modified hydro water, sipping controlled doses to maintain immunity, and then using the water to neutralize dangers, create paths, and save countless lives. And the aliens tried to disrupt human networks by targeting communication hubs. But humans had already created redundant systems, allowing teams to coordinate in real time, analyzing hydro movement, predicting currents, and deploying countermeasures faster than any alien could respond. And across the cities, civilians trained in hydro survival joined the teams carrying containers, using absorbent materials, and guiding others safely across dangerous zones. And the aliens realized that humans had rewritten the rules of engagement with hydro water, turning fear into strategy, courage into action, and observation into mastery. And every sip taken by humans strengthened their ability to manipulate the water to anticipate danger and protect others. And across Earth, the flooded zones became laboratories of survival strategy and coordinated defense. Every city, a network, every volunteer, a node in the human mastery of the hydro. And the aliens understood that no matter how volatile the storms became, humans would adapt, learn, master, and command the very weapon designed to annihilate them, because humans had transformed hydro water from a symbol of fear into a tool of intelligence, courage, and unstoppable resilience. Humans take the hydro to the stars. Humans had mastered hydro water on Earth, and now they looked beyond their planet, realizing that the same intelligence, courage, and resilience that allowed them to survive could allow them to dominate the galaxy. And across orbiting stations and spaceports, engineers built massive containment vessels to transport controlled hydro water across space, analyzing energy flows and chemical stability. And across fleets of ships, scientists developed specialized filtration units capable of modifying the water to suit different planetary environments. And soldiers trained in zero gravity learned how to sip small doses, maintain immunity, and then deploy water strategically to protect crews, neutralize hazards, and create controlled energy flows. And the aliens who had once feared humans now watched from their starships as humans prepared to take the deadliest weapon in the galaxy into orbit. And across the solar system, humans tested hydro water under zero gravity, observing how it moved, how currents formed, and how energy could be absorbed, released, and redirected. And across training facilities, volunteers practiced moving through simulated hydro storms, wearing suits equipped with absorbent layers and filtration systems, learning to neutralize dangerous charges while protecting others. And in one orbital station, humans faced a hydrostorm generated by an alien attack. The water floated freely, forming volatile spheres of energy, moving unpredictably, carrying debris and charged ions. But humans moved calmly, studying patterns, sipping controlled doses, absorbing excess energy, and then directing controlled flows to create safe corridors for civilians and crew. And across the ships, humans designed mobile hydro units capable of creating temporary shields or amplifying energy to clear debris, and the aliens tried to predict human movement, sending unpredictable currents and charged water streams. But humans had learned to adapt faster than any species could anticipate, analyzing trajectories, predicting energy dispersal, and deploying countermeasures with unmatched precision. And in one high-orbit battle, humans redirected a stream of hydro water toward an alien strike vessel, neutralizing its energy field, absorbing excess charges, and creating a protective barrier for their fleet. And across the fleet, crews communicated in real time, observing the slightest shift in currents, sharing data instantaneously, adjusting deployments, and teaching new volunteers how to sip safely, act decisively, and protect their teams. And humans did not just defend. They innovated, creating hydro drones capable of carrying controlled doses to hazardous zones, deploying energy to neutralize alien attacks or clear debris. And across space stations, humans constructed containment channels capable of stabilizing volatile hydrowater, creating safe zones and pathways while training new crews to anticipate unpredictable flows. And across alien planets, humans established forward bases, carrying containers of modified hydrowater, teaching allies how to sip safely, absorb energy, and use it as a shield and a weapon. And in one barren world where a massive hydrostorm raged, humans deployed networks of absorbent barriers, redirecting currents toward neutral zones while rescuing local species trapped by the energy flows. And the aliens sent fleets infused with hypercharged hydro energy, thinking they could overwhelm humans, but humans anticipated patterns, studied previous reactions, and deployed countermeasures using portable amplifiers to neutralize charges and create protective energy shields. And across the galaxy, news spread among species that humans had mastered the deadliest weapon, the very hydrowater designed to terrify all life. And humans did not boast. They simply coordinated their movements, teaching allies, sharing strategies, deploying containment units, and analyzing energy flows to prevent disaster. And in one sector, a young commander led a team through a hydrostorm surrounding an alien mining colony, absorbing the volatile energy, neutralizing charges, and guiding trapped workers to safety, while deploying barriers to prevent further destruction. And across fleet communications, humans shared data on hydro absorption rates, energy dispersal patterns, and protective deployment strategies, allowing other teams to act safely and efficiently. And the aliens realized that humans had achieved a level of mastery no species had reached before. They had turned fear into strategy, intelligence into action, courage into innovation, and energy into protection. And across the galaxy, humans built hydro laboratories on moons, asteroids, and orbital stations, modifying water to suit different planetary atmospheres, while training new generations of crews to sip, absorb, neutralize, and deploy with precision. And in one massive engagement, humans coordinated fleets across multiple star systems, using controlled hydro bursts to shield allies, neutralize enemy attacks, and create safe pathways for evacuation. And civilians were integrated into these operations, learning how to measure current, sip safely, and redirect energy to protect life. And across sectors, humans built autonomous hydro units capable of analyzing energy levels, releasing controlled doses, and reinforcing barriers, while crews directed operations from ships and bases. And the aliens were forced to retreat, observing that humans had transformed the deadliest weapon in the galaxy into a tool of mastery, strategy, and protection. And across the stars, humans continued to expand their reach, using hydrowater not as a weapon of fear, but as a weapon of intelligence, resilience, and adaptability, turning every challenge into an opportunity and proving once again that no matter how lethal the threat, humans would sip, adapt, learn, and command with courage and precision. And across the universe, the name of humanity began to spread, whispered in fear and admiration, because humans had mastered hydrowater not only on Earth but in orbit, across planets, and among the stars. And the aliens who had once feared humans now understood that humanity had rewritten the rules of Survival mastery in warfare, and everywhere humans went, they carried the same principles: sip carefully, absorb intelligently, act decisively, protect courageously. And across the galaxy, every deployment, every containment, every controlled burst of hydro water became a testament to human ingenuity, bravery, and unstoppable will. Humans rule the hydro and the galaxy. Humans had taken the deadliest weapon in the galaxy and turned it into a tool of intelligent strategy and unstoppable courage. And across countless planets, hydro water storms that once terrified every species now met organized human fleets in teams, moving with precision and confidence. Sips taken carefully absorbed energy, measured, analyzed, and then deployed in ways that no alien could predict. And across the stars, humans built massive orbital stations, controlling hydro streams, creating protective shields around entire colonies, neutralizing energy bursts from enemy fleets, and redirecting volatile currents to save lives and destroy only obstacles. And across war zones, humans used hydro water offensively, with precision, never recklessly, knowing that each controlled burst could change the tide of battle and save thousands of lives. And the aliens who had once mocked humans as fragile, unpredictable beings now watched in disbelief as humans commanded water, like a living entity flowing with their will, predicting movements and neutralizing attacks before they could form fully. And across the galaxy, humans shared knowledge, teaching allies how to sip safely, absorb energy, and deploy it strategically, creating a network of trained crews who could act anywhere at any time. And in one massive engagement near a hostile star system, humans faced the largest hydrostorm ever recorded, a swirling, chaotic mass of charged water, energy, and debris. But humans did not panic. They moved like a single organism, analyzing currents, sharing data, predicting reactions, and releasing controlled doses to stabilize flows, neutralize charges, and create protective corridors for civilians and allied ships. And across fleets, humans deployed hydro drones, amplifiers, and portable shields, all synchronized through real-time communications and predictive algorithms, allowing them to manipulate energy across hundreds of kilometers, neutralizing the alien assault and saving countless lives. And in one daring operation, humans used controlled hydro water to disable the propulsion systems of an enemy fleet, redirecting the volatile stream safely away from inhabited zones and then deploying protective barriers around their own ships to prevent any retaliatory damage. And across allied colonies, humans trained civilians in hydro mastery, teaching them how to measure current, sip doses, absorb energy, and act decisively, ensuring that every settlement could defend itself. And across the galaxy, humans created a culture of mastery and resilience where fear of hydro storms had been replaced by understanding, intelligence, and courage. And the aliens realized that humans had rewritten the rules of combat strategy and survival, because humans could adapt faster than any prediction, analyze patterns beyond calculation, and turn a weapon of destruction into a weapon of life and protection. And across orbiting stations, massive hydro reservoirs were used to create artificial rivers, directing energy to prevent damage to critical systems while providing safe zones for crew and civilians. And humans experimented with hydro water under different planetary conditions, modifying properties to maintain control energy levels and flow dynamics while teaching new generations of explorers and soldiers how to harness it safely and effectively. And across the galaxy, humans deployed teams to rescue colonies from unstable hydro storms, neutralize alien attacks, and provide controlled energy for environmental restoration, demonstrating that they could use the deadliest weapon to create safety and growth simultaneously. And in one final encounter, a coalition of alien species attempted to overwhelm humans with a synchronized hydro storm, spanning multiple star systems. But humans anticipated every movement, deploying layered defenses, controlled bursts, and synchronized absorption and release maneuvers that turned the storm against itself, redirecting the energy harmlessly into empty space. And across fleets, humans coordinated every action with flawless timing, using hydro water to shield allies, evacuate civilians, and disable enemy assets without unnecessary destruction. And across the universe, humans became known not just as survivors, but as masters of the hydro, the species that could turn fear into strategy, adapt to any threat, and command even the deadliest weapons without losing control or humanity. And the aliens who had once sought to dominate humans were forced to retreat, observing that humanity had reached a level of mastery and resilience that no species had achieved before. And across every Planet, every colony, every fleet, humans continued to teach, sip, absorb, deploy, and protect, spreading the principles of intelligence, courage, and adaptability wherever they went. And in one historic moment, the Galactic Council convened, acknowledging humanity as a force of unparalleled strategy, mastery, and survival skill. And across space, historians and scientists recorded how humans had turned a weapon designed for fear into a symbol of HFY ingenuity, courage, and unstoppable will. And across the galaxy, children learned the lessons of hydromastery, sips taken carefully, energy absorbed and released with precision, and adults continued to innovate, develop new technologies, and train new generations, ensuring that humanity would never be unprepared for any threat, and the aliens who had once feared humans now respected them, understanding that the deadliest storms could not defeat a species that could sip, analyze, absorb, and act with courage and intelligence. And across the stars, humans had rewritten the definition of survival, mastery, and command, proving once and for all that no matter the weapon, the threat, or the odds, humans would always rise, adapt, and prevail. And in the end, the galaxy understood that the name of humanity carried not just fear but admiration, respect, and the undeniable knowledge that humans had mastered hydro-water, and any weapon thrown at them could be turned into a shield, a tool, and a path to triumph. Humanity's eternal command. Humans had faced the deadliest storms ever created in the galaxy, and they had not only survived, they had mastered them, turning hydro-water from a weapon of fear into a symbol of strategy, courage, and unstoppable will. Across planets, moons, and orbiting stations, humans trained new generations, teaching them how to sip, absorb, and redirect energy safely and intelligently, creating fleets of soldiers, scientists, engineers, and explorers who could act decisively under pressure. And across the stars, humans deployed mobile hydro units capable of shielding entire colonies, neutralizing alien attacks and restoring stability to regions devastated by storms. And in one distant star system, a hydro tempest, larger than any recorded, swirled, unpredictably, carrying debris-charged ions and volatile energy currents. But humans approached it with calm precision, studying patterns, predicting dispersal, and deploying controlled sips to absorb excess energy, redirect currents, and create protective corridors for civilians and allied ships. And across fleets, humans synchronized movements using advanced communication networks, predictive algorithms, and instantaneous data sharing, allowing every crew, every volunteer, every civilian involved to act as one unified organism, capable of controlling chaos and turning danger into opportunity. And in one daring rescue operation, humans moved through floating hydrospheres, directing energy away from inhabited zones, absorbing volatile currents, and creating channels that led trapped species to safety. And the aliens who had once ruled the galaxy with fear now observed humans and realized that no species could match their intelligence, courage, adaptability, and mastery of the deadliest weapon ever created. And across the galaxy, humans constructed permanent hydro laboratories on moons, asteroids, and abandoned stations, modifying water to suit every environment, training recruits and teaching allies how to survive, absorb, control, and deploy the weapon with precision and purpose. And across battles, humans used hydro-water not recklessly but strategically, neutralizing enemy attacks, protecting colonies, and preserving life while creating controlled energy flows to prevent accidental damage. And the aliens tried every tactic, from overwhelming storms to hypercharged currents. But humans had learned to read patterns, predict movements, and deploy precise sips that turned every attack into a controlled maneuver, protecting allies and disabling threats. And across sectors, humans integrated civilians into training programs, teaching them to measure currents, absorb energy, and act decisively, ensuring that no one was helpless, and that every settlement, every fleet could defend itself. And across the galaxy, humans coordinated with allies to create a network of controlled hydro-energy flows, shielding entire star systems, neutralizing hazards, and maintaining peace and stability. And in one historic battle, humans faced a coalition of alien species attempting to engulf multiple systems in synchronized hydrostorms. But humans anticipated trajectories, neutralized charges, absorbed excess energy, and deployed protective barriers, creating a masterful defense that left allies unharmed and enemies astonished. And across the universe, humanity became a legend whispered in awe, respected for intelligence, courage, resilience, and the ability to turn even the deadliest threat into a tool of life protection and strategy. And across generations, children learned the art of hydromastery. SIPs absorbed energy, deployed intelligently, and adults continued to innovate, train new crews and expand knowledge, ensuring that humans would never be unprepared for any weapon or threat, and the aliens who had once sought to dominate humanity now respected them, understanding that fear could not conquer a species that could sip, analyze, absorb, and act decisively and across the stars. Humans continued to expand their presence, exploring new planets, moons, and systems while carrying with them the principles of strategy, mastery, courage, and adaptability. And in one final grand display, humans coordinated a massive operation spanning multiple star systems using controlled hydrobursts to protect colonies, rescue allies, neutralize hazards, and demonstrate to every species that humanity had mastered the deadliest weapon in existence. And in that moment, the galaxy recognized that humans were not just survivors, they were masters, innovators, and leaders capable of turning fear into courage, danger into strategy, and chaos into controlled order. And across the galaxy, every system, every colony, and every fleet came to understand that humanity's mastery of hydrowater was not just a victory of intelligence and courage, but a promise that humans would always adapt, rise, and prevail, no matter the odds. And in the vast expanse of space, the name of humanity became a symbol of unstoppable will, unmatched mastery, and eternal courage. And across the stars, every being knew that if humans faced a weapon designed to terrify the universe, they would not only survive, they would master it, and teach others to master it. And that no storm, no weapon, and no enemy could ever break the spirit of humans. And everywhere humans went, they carried with them lessons of courage, intelligence, resilience, and strategy, ensuring that the galaxy would never forget the moment humanity turned the deadliest threat into a legacy of eternal command. The end.